Hello, and welcome to Talks on Docs, a documentary review podcast where the co-hosts and guests discuss, review, and give recommendations on any and all types of documentaries. Episode 35. For this episode, we will be reviewing the following docs. HB selected Netflix, Satan and Adam. Sean selected Netflix, Prosecuting Evil. And I selected Netflix, Gringo, The Dangerous Life of John McAfee. Are you feeling better, HB? Because you're a little under the weather last week.
I'm on the Mucinex, so
yeah,
I get random hunks of gunk coming up the pipe, but I think
go ahead, sorry.
I think the Long Island helped tonight.
Oh, nice.
That'll do it.
But yeah, my oldest, I think, is the last one to catch it in our house. It's like a chest cough thing, and then my oldest has strep, but he gets that. He averages about 6 cases of strep a year. So his record was 8 one year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like 2 a month, man. Or
yeah,
month.
They said they don't talk about surgery until you hit 9 in a year. So, and we honestly don't want to do surgery. It's something about accidentally nicking the wrong artery and our kid bleeds out for a strep infection. Right. We'll just take antibiotics, thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how it was when I was a kid. I ate antibiotics like a candy, and then I think I was 9 years old when I had my tonsils removed.
Yeah.
And my dad told me this horror story of his buddy that had his tonsils removed when he was a kid, and then he ended up dying because he ate popcorn, and the popcorn ended up scraping off the scab on the back of his throat where the the tonsils were, and he ended up bleeding to death internally.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what you want to hear right after you get out of surgery as a 9-year-old with a tonsillectomy.
That sounds like the type of thing my dad would tell me.
It's probably all made up.
Yeah. All right, let me just do the intro real quick. Hello, and welcome to Talks on Docs. We're your co-hosts. I'm Sturdy.
I'm HB.
And I'm Sean.
All right, well, you got that over. So, I'm glad to hear that you guys are hopefully getting over it. I know that we're just waiting for it to hit hard in our house with all of our kids.
Yeah, how's your house, Sean?
It hit Delilah on Labor Day weekend, but by Tuesday she was ready to go back to school. So, and it hasn't hit anybody else.
That's good. Yeah, we had the stomach bug hit Everett too. Just him. He's the 4-year-old. So we had 3 wake ups and puking all over sheets, change the sheets, puke over sheets, change the sheets.
Isn't
Sarah
that the
literally
best?
Yeah, Sarah after by the end of it was pissed at me. Just livid at me. I still don't totally understand why.
Why?
Yeah. It was my fault somehow, I don't know.
The last 2 times that happened at our house, Jen was not in town. So, and then I had 2 kids puking throughout the night, and it was literally I was up the entire night just rotating the kids through their beds and picking up or cleaning up their vomit and taking after them.
Yeah.
So I just got back. So one of the reasons I'm a little bit behind is I had to run and go get milk at 7-Eleven right at the last minute because of course we didn't have any for bedtime. And so when I walked through the 7-Eleven, I saw the clerk. He was eyeballing my hat, and I had my Talks on Docs hat. I was like, oh, all right, cool. He likes the hat. Nice. And so I went and grabbed my milk, my 1 liter of Diet Coke and Kit Kats, and went up to the front line, and there was a bunch. The 7-Eleven gets a lot of white trash. And there was a lot in front of me. And so anyways, I finally get up to pay for my stuff, and he's like, hey, he asked where'd I get the hat, and I was like, well, actually it's my podcast. We go over documentaries. And he's like, I'd really like to get one of those hats. And I was like, oh, cool. That's that's cool. And he's like, I'll give you $21 for a hat. And I was like, if you double that, maybe I'll give you that to you. He's like, man, you're too steep for me. And I was like, well, I'd love to have you sit here and advertise our podcast to all of the white trash of South Reno. But I'd say like 100% of them don't even know what a podcast is. So
Right.
And then he started asking me about fantasy football. He started going off about fantasy football. Do you guys do fantasy football?
I do.
You do? How are you? Because it's like, what, this first or second week now? We're going into the second week?
Yeah, it's going into the second week. So I do a fantasy, full-on fantasy one with a bunch of guys at the department. Everybody from JP and Adam Lindsay and Bellamy
that big one.
O'Connell. Yeah, I finally got in on that. There was a waiting list, honestly, and somebody fell out.
Jeez.
Charlie Alt still does it. Rob Begbie still does it. I mean, they're retired guys that still do it.
Yeah.
And it's a $50 buy-in. And then at the end of the year, there's a pretty good payout for first, second, and third. And just tons of smack talk. Like, that's the best part of it, is the smack talk. Because if I was doing it with people I didn't know, it wouldn't be nearly as much fun. But, like, literally, like last Monday, I walk in. I'm at the end of Monday, and Lindsay works swing shift, so I'm walking in. And I had an awesome week. Like, my guys kicked butt, but the other team that I played, which was Dustin Butler's team, had like the highest score of anybody in the league. Wow. And so last year was my first year doing it, and I tanked. I was 0-13. I literally sucked as bad as you can suck. And so this year I was like, okay, I got a good team. I drafted the right players. Like, I got a good chance. And then I go against the buzzsaw that is the highest scoring team in the whole first week of our 12-man team.
Yeah.
And so as I'm walking in, I got all my posse box and all my shit, and Lindsay yells at me from across the parking lot, "Your team still fucking sucks." And I drop all my shit and just give him like the suck it right on my crotch motion, just right on the ramp in front of everybody.
Well, Lindsay takes that stuff seriously, because he like goes down to the casinos and bets and stuff on that.
Oh, does he? Yeah, he's our commissioner. He's the one that organizes it all. So.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely takes it seriously. So.
JP is the one we trust with the money. He holds all the money upstairs. So, but yeah, and then there's a pick'em league, which is just straight pick'em through the city as well. It's on the city email list. It's that one that they put out.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The freaking city manager's on it. Like, we are literally gambling, like, with like, mail your money to this address, $40 buy-in or whatever. Like, and he doesn't hide it either. Neil Krutz is like his team's name.
City sponsored.
Yeah, about as city sponsored as it can get. So, but yeah, fantasy thing's fun. I mean, I like football, and this way, when the Niners are tanking, I have somebody on just about every team to root for, because they're probably one of my fantasy players.
Okay, I could see the fun in that, because then it gives you
somebody to root for no matter what game's on the TV.
Right. Okay. I could see the enjoyment in that.
And it's not as hard.
No, I don't do it. I quit watching football when we were in Germany, so
right.
I like watching a game, but I'm not into it anymore. I don't know the players or anything anymore.
Yeah. You guys remember Patrick Green? He was the one that had For Your Consideration documentary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's doing a bunch of documentaries on boxing now. He's part of a new company, a media company. Oh, man, I just skipped my mind of what it's called. But it's like boxing, something or another. I'll find out later on. But he just put out a list of 10 best boxing documentaries. And
that'd be interesting.
Yeah, that might be something that we might want to look at later down the road, of like maybe doing a suite on boxing or maybe sports and stuff. And I asked him, I was like, hey, if we end up covering some of these documentaries or do like a boxing suite kind of thing, do you want to join us? And he's like, for sure, he'd love to join us. So just keep that in the back of your mind. We might do something on boxing and stuff, because I've been kind of watching more boxing that I see on the TV now.
Yeah, there's got to be like a boxing event or a holiday, not a holiday, but like maybe a significant date that would coincide or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there like an honorary boxing month or something?
Well, Boxing Day, isn't that what they call Christmas in England?
In Canada or
Canada.
I think Canada has Boxing
Happy
Day.
Boxing Day.
I don't know if it's. Is it in regards to the sport?
I
know
don't
we sound
think
like
so.
a bunch of idiots right now, but
No, I'm just thinking maybe if like a Muhammad Ali fight, like anniversary, or one of these,
Oh, yeah.
historic fights, an anniversary of that or something.
Yeah.
The release of Rocky or something.
Right.
Time to give a little thanks and appreciation for the emails and Apple Podcast reviews. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into Apple Podcast ratings and reviews. Our first one is going to be from Jake Grant 03. Why do people put numbers in their names?
Must be a lot of Jake Grants.
But his name, no, his spelling is Jayke. Grant. Why do you put the 03? How many Jakes?
Maybe he's the third.
His favorite baseball player.
Could be.
Whatever. I never put numbers in mine, but my name's so freaking weird. I'd never have to.
Ditto that.
All right, 5 stars. Great podcasts. If you enjoyed Doc, they speak very well and go over the things I question when watching a documentary. So I guess he has a lot of questions about documentaries, and we answer those questions for him. I can't tell you how many times I get into a documentary and end up hearing it, but this podcast has made it so that I know what I'm getting into before I commit. Keep up the great work. So it looks like, I guess he's using us as a resource of having wealth of knowledge of documentaries.
Nice.
And actually understanding what's going on in them. Maybe?
Little preview.
No.
Well, it is, it is tough to pick a documentary, as I think we've noticed a few times. So it'd be nice to have a resource.
Yeah. But I mean, I've found a couple of more resources. That Tubi channel, that's a great resource for documentaries. I mean, I don't know how much you guys have gotten into Tubi, but there's actually 2 different channels for documentaries. They have the Docurama channel, and then they have one that's just documentaries. And there's a whole nother long list of documentaries on that side of it as well too.
Yeah, I just noticed if you get geeky enough, all the Netflix and Hulu and Prime make your own category of documentaries. They just start to realize you really like these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'll read one more of these Apple Podcast ratings and reviews. Thanks for a great interview, 5-star from Mark Saxenmeyer. All right, that was the director for The Queens. That's the one I did with Brian from Pop Culture Leftovers. So he goes ahead and says, thanks to Sturdy and Brian for the great interview they did with me regarding the Reporters Incorporated new documentary, The Queens. They came prepared with great in-depth questions, always a pleasure to go deep with people who truly care about films, how they're made, and the takeaways they provide. Mark Saxenmeyer, director of The Queens. So,
Thank you.
that was another one of those documentaries where it was the face value or reading the book by its cover kind of situations.
Yeah, I really like that podcast. I listened to it after the fact, and yeah, I would be interested in watching that one for sure.
Have you guys ever checked out Pop Culture Leftovers?
No, I have not.
I have not either.
They're definitely more explicit than we are, but that's how Brian is. If you get that type of humor, he's a great listen to. But they cover everything pop culture related, like all the greatest and latest in anything comic books, comic book movies, streaming services. Brian is a huge wealth of knowledge when it comes to that stuff, and he's always right on top of it. That's where I get all my information of any kind of geeky stuff coming out is from Brian and Pop Culture Leftovers. He's always right on top of it. So yeah, he's a great podcaster. They just had their 300th episode.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Congratulations.
It was great listening to him. Brian was plastered by the end of it. I think they recorded for like over 5 or 6 hours maybe.
And he parties on the whole time.
He partied on the entire time. That's some very interesting conversations towards the end. All right, that'll do it for our Apple Podcast ratings and review. We'll go ahead and jump into our selections for next week.
During the next section, the co-hosts keep it fresh and spoiler-free as they announce their selections for next week's podcast.
Yeah, all right. For our selections for next week, you want to go first, Sean?
Sure. For next week, I chose The Art of the Prank. This I actually found on Tubi.
Yes.
And it's from 2015. The Art of the Prank is an emotional and humorous journey following the evolution of Joey Skaggs, godfather of the media hoax, as he tries to pull off the most challenging prank of his career. This is interwoven with amazing archive footage of his earlier escapades, all reported as fact by prestigious journalists. The resulting twists and turns provide unprecedented insight into Joey's work as an artist, activist, and social satirist. It's 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes didn't have any critic reviews, but it has an audience score of, let me pull it back up, audience score of 90%. So
wow. Was that on the Docurama side or the documentary side?
It was on the Docurama on
okay.
Tubi. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I watched the trailer, and there's a couple CNN anchors going, well, he got us. So it looks pretty fun, and since we've had some pretty heavy topics the last couple weeks, I thought this would be fun.
Yeah, so that's all you watched was the trailer? You didn't watch any of it?
Yeah, all I watched was the trailer.
All right, so I started it. I watched a little bit of it, but something came up, and I couldn't watch any more of it, but I caught like the first maybe around 10 minutes, and then I had to leave the room, and I didn't get back to that room for another like hour maybe, so I caught like the very end part of it, but man, it does look like a very fun documentary to watch. HB, what you got?
Nice. Well, to quote my favorite Black Robert Downey Jr., I went full geek this week.
All right.
And went with a Star Wars Empire of Dreams.
Oh.
Star Wars. This is a 2004 doc. It is an in-depth making of the original Star Wars trilogy, covering the productions of 3 films and their impact on popular culture. It's a 8.3 on IMDb. It's a long one, so I apologize. 2 hours and 30 minutes. So,
Ooh.
yeah, I've never seen one that long. It's from 2004, so it's pre a lot of the current stuff. So
Right, yeah.
we'll see if we can all sit through it the whole way, or if we need an intermission.
That's longer than the Rolling Thunder review. Hopefully, it doesn't feel as long.
Dude,
Yeah.
I heard that whole thing's a mockumentary.
No way.
Yes. I was listening
Oh, wow.
to another podcast, and they were talking about it, and I guess there's been some articles that have come out and have stated that it wasn't meant to be a documentary at all, and that it's actually a mockumentary, and that like some of the people in that documentary aren't even the people that they represent, or something weird like that.
What?
Yeah, they were playing characters.
Blank them.
I hate that thing even more.
I know, right?
Yeah, burn it to the ground. Well, this one's on Amazon Prime.
Okay,
so that's where I'm watching it, and I watched the preview. It's a fun preview. If you like Star Wars, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, good pick. I was looking at that one too, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I have a brief connection of Star Wars to my family. So my dad used to own a movie theater business with his college buddies, and he owned one in the small capital of Nevada of Carson City, and that's when he met my mother. He was in the midst of the Star Wars releases, and I can't remember which one of it was, but I think it might have been Revenge of the Jedi, when it was still called Revenge of the Jedi. He closed his whole movie theater because she taught second grade in Carson, just because he loved kids so much, / my mother. He allowed the whole second grade of her school to come and have a private showing of the Star Wars movie with free concession stands, and she got a private showing from the booth, I've been told.
Ooh,
So
Wow.
they had a 1-to-1 chaperone ratio. Every parent wanted to make sure that was a safe field trip, I guess. But
For sure, yeah.
And 9
So,
months
yeah.
later, HB was born.
Very possibly. I haven't been told that.
You never did the math on that one.
Yeah, my dad called me his little popcorn boy. I don't know.
That makes sense,
So-
man. Now you know where you were conceived.
Yeah, so Star Wars always holds he's showed me some of the old posters and everything that he had in his theater, so it's cool.
Nice.
Awesome. All right, I'll go ahead and go on to my selection. It is called Jackpot, and it will be on Docurama that you can get through on Tubi. And it's got a... What do you guys think it's about? It's called Jackpot. Did you guys see the cover on this one?
Vegas.
Vegas, okay. Sean, you got a guess?
No, I don't. I was going to say Vegas too. So HB keeps stealing all my answers.
Okay. Rating. It's got a maturity rating of TV NA, so it doesn't have a rating. It's directed by Alan Black, who has done nothing else. It's got an IMDb score of nothing. It's got a Rotten Tomatoes audience score of nothing. And the synopsis: die-hard regulars at a Canadian bingo hall hope their next card will be one that wins them the jackpot.
Oh my god. What's the average age of the actors, quote unquote, in this movie?
Well, the cover is a senior citizen around probably early 70s.
They're chopping up lines of Metamucil and snorting.
Well, I hear that's free in Canada, so
Oh, hey.
It's part of their Medicare program.
right.
Wow.
So I know you guys are excited about that one.
Are they going to break out the kazoos at halftime of the bingo?
The halftime show.
Yeah. Do they do the national anthem or whatever Canada's national anthem is
Right.
before each bingo?
Yeah. All right. So those are our selections for next week, and I'll get those posted onto Facebook and all the social medias. So in case if you want to get ahead of the game and watch those before our podcast next week, feel free to do so. And just check out Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or we're actually on YouTube now.
Yeah, I actually listened to it on YouTube last week just so we'd get a number on it.
Just,
Get a couple views on YouTube.
oh, so that's when it went from 3 to 4. Okay, that was you. Because me and HB were the other ones. Awesome. Yeah, so YouTube, if you didn't know, I did add a YouTube channel. Just search Talks on Docs, and you'll find us. We should be like the first one that pops up, I think. So check that out as well, too. And we'll go ahead and go into our short doc for the week.
Keeping it short and snappy, a quick look and conversation on a few short subject docs.
All right, so we just finished watching a short documentary on Vimeo called Thomas Denninger. Is that how you guys would pronounce it? Denninger? Yeah, Thomas Denninger. Sure. I'll spell it out. Deininger. Denninger. And it's called Trash Artists. And I just saw this really cool looking bee and trash artists and thought it might be cool, but this guy obviously has some pent-up anger towards all of humanity and trash.
But he loves us.
And kids a little bit, it sounded like, too.
Oh, yeah. Those
Yeah,
shitty
he's
kids
explicit.
playing with their toys.
For 5 minutes.
What the hell? How dare those kids play with toys that are made out of plastic? We're all going to hell.
Now they won't degrade for 1,000.
Who was that?
Now they won't degrade for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think gluing them into a clump doesn't really make them degrade any faster.
But he does it in art because he has Barbie, like, having relationships with Mickey Mouse. Did you see that?
In a sick and twisted way, I liked that head on the skeleton body. That, like, caught my eye and stuck with me. That, like, Ken head glued to,
Yeah.
like, a skeleton body.
Ah, I didn't see that one.
The
that
big red lips on the Darth Vader mask took me for a second.
That is so wrong in so many ways. But then, okay, so he's using hot glue. Is that biodegradable? I mean,
No, not
he's
even a little bit.
Yeah.
creating more of it through his art, right?
A little bit. A little bit.
I love hot glue, though. Do you guys use hot glue a lot?
Oh,
I
yeah.
burned myself with it a lot.
Yeah, I know. He must have
Yeah.
some like wicked like calluses on his fingers and stuff to use that much hot glue.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's got a point. I mean, I'd like to see him out surfing on one of the trash islands they always talk about. Just making art on the ocean. So, but I thought the bees had come back. I thought somebody said that the bees weren't going extinct anymore.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that. That's good news.
That's what I thought. Because Michelle Obama had some at the White House, so we're all good now.
Oh,
really?
well, that's perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I guess it is a problem. I see his point.
Yeah, the trash in the ocean is definitely a problem, and
He needs to
I
take
also
some
see the
Prozac,
points
though.
on the plastic toys. Like, oh man, when we first got our kids, they were into going to the dollar store and buying that junk, and that
Yes.
stuff doesn't last 5 seconds.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And, yeah. So I could see if we could eliminate all the dollar store junk, I think we would eliminate most of the
little
trash
bit
problem
better,
in the
yeah.
world.
Right. It's like Asa's birthday's today, on Friday the 13th. Should I be concerned about that?
Oh my.
So he's all into Spider-Man, and Jen got one of those just party gift, little toy things. And so it's like Spider-Man and Venom, and it's like one of those wacky wall crawlers that we had as a kid, where you throw it on the wall and it crawls down. Well, this one, it's like that hard plastic that this guy obviously hates. But then it has that wacky wall crawler material on the hands and feet, so it'll flip over and upside down. Well, Zyler got to it, my 2-year-old, and decided to bite off each part of the sticky part within 5 seconds.
Of course.
Yeah. And so there was, of course, a fight that ensued right after that between Zyler and Asa, all over a dollar toy that is now in the trash. So
Yeah.
So I've contributed to his art.
But your kids are also helping with the biodegradability, because I can tell you how many bottles with the plastic straws that my kids have either digested or helped chop into tiny bits with their teeth.
Right.
As they gnaw on those stinking plastic straws. Nobody can. I don't ever remember having a plastic sippy cup bottle, flip top, hydro flask.
Yep.
I drank out of a glass, and then I went and got the hose or something,
Right.
but I didn't have a drawer full of bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do
I
the
have-
garden hose anymore, though.
Yeah, I have a friend that would lose her mind if she saw you drinking out of the garden hose.
Oh, I push it. I'm a big pusher of the garden hose at our house.
Yeah.
Sarah gets a little upset at me at times, but I'm out there just chugging in it.
Really?
And then the kids are right next to me, just power chugging the hose.
Yeah, you might want to stop that, because that stuff's coated with different stuff now, man. It's not the same just regular old rubber hose like we had as kids.
Well, all my hoses are from my dad's house, so yeah,
Oh.
it is the same.
So they are the same.
They are the ones. They are the ones that actually last.
Yeah, I replaced the metal on one of them because it was so compressed. It'd been run over by the truck a couple times. You just snip off the end and replace it.
Yeah. Okay, you're safe then.
Yeah.
Anything made after the 90s is probably no good.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. If he just did the artwork, though, that'd be cool, because from a distance, it's pretty cool looking stuff. But when you get,
But I mean, I agree with what he's saying and everything, especially with the scenes of the trash and stuff with the water and everything, because that's kind of what I do for work now with environmental control. But his just total hatred and anger. Like I said, I think he just needs to take some Prozac and kind of calm down, but still keep the same message. Because he's very. He was really serious about being pissed off about this stuff. I mean, there was one scene there I was like, oh, this guy's a little disturbed.
Yeah.
When you looked into his eyes.
imagine going to his art studio. It probably starts out as here's my stuff, and it's all these fucking kids are making this shit, not biodegrade, and they want to play with this stuff, and we don't need it. And
I bet you
they
he
just
does
need one toy.
That's right. A rock. A pet rock.
and he probably doesn't take plastic
Ooh. So
as
every
a
time
way
he
of
goes
impayment.
shopping,
Because that
just
credit
every time he
card.
goes to Rayleigh's, paper or plastic, sir? Ah.
He just goes into a rage.
He's been kicked out of every grocery store in town. All right. Well, I don't think any of our listeners needs a synopsis for this, and I don't even think they gave him one. So, oh well.
It's worth watching though. It's cool art. I'll give him that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That bee is really cool looking.
Yeah.
I wonder what it sells for. $10,000.
Oh yeah. So you can buy a lot of plastic toys with that.
Yeah. At the dollar store, like $10,000 worth, or 10,000 little toys worth. Yeah. All right. You guys ready? We'll go ahead and go into the breakdown.
Sounds good.
Prepare to be spoiled. In the breakdown section, our co-hosts go deeper into the conversation and truly express their thoughts on the documentaries.
We'll go ahead and go into our breakdown now. Actually, you know what just popped into my head? Since we were talking about the plastic and everything, have you guys experienced the paper straw of California?
I hate that so much.
Oh, yes.
We went to Disneyland, and I can get over the paper straws. It's the no lid that drives me crazy. Like,
oh, they don't give you a lid either, huh?
no,
Really?
so you get these giant, 1.5-liter cups. You're supposed to walk and try and find a place to sit in Disneyland, which is, really easy.
Right.
And then and you're just spilling soda all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you're telling me you can't come up with a cup that doesn't need a lid? Because I'm tired of spilling soda.
Wow.
Well, Starbucks has gone away from their straws by incorporating it into the lid. Everything's a sippy lid now.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Well,
Like
in Starbucks
locally?
in California, I've seen it.
California. Okay. I was like,
Yeah.
I have not seen that one.
Yeah, we
Weird.
rarely go, but sometimes we cross the border into hell and we see what it's like.
There goes all of our California listeners.
Yeah, we lived there for 4 years. It was, we gave it a chance.
Man.
Yeah, but the paper soggy straw.
Yeah, I hate it. I
So-
hate the flavor. I hate every aspect of it.
Yeah,
The
a straw
texture
shouldn't have
of
a
it?
flavor.
Yes, and the texture
Yes,
of it.
it's terrible.
So, has Disneyland completely converted over?
I think so. Now they have, yeah.
Because we were there in May and they hadn't switched over. So
That's when we went too. We must have lucked out.
yeah. So you didn't have the paper when you were in
No.
May? No.
We partied it up, got all the party wear, commemorative cups that we could throw away and
Yeah,
plastic.
I love the paper the commemorative cups
Yeah,
that all the
nickel
paint
more.
washes off, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
My niece collects the popcorn buckets,
Oh, okay.
which those things they're like $35, and you get half as much popcorn. I mean, Disney is printing money. I don't know
Oh,
how they
yeah.
do it, but
Oh yeah.
Well, I
Well, then
had-
their stinking vault.
yeah.
Yeah.
Aladdin just came out of the vault,
Right.
and so of course we had to buy every version of it known to man.
Yeah, I'll have to confess, I did get the R2-D2 popcorn box, so I am
Oh, I'm
thinking
sure.
of that one.
I have a stinking Groot sippy cup. I mean, they're printing money. There's no way you can walk by that stuff all day and not buy something.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah.
You have to when you budget for Disneyland, you have to create a separate account just for saving up for the stuff you're going to buy inside of Disneyland,
Yeah.
separate from the actual cost of the tickets and the hotels and everything else.
Well, the great way to do it is to have it dropped at your room if you're staying on site like we did.
Yeah,
do that
that is the
form.
best.
Yeah, my wife's like, "How'd we get with all this stuff? We weren't carrying any of this around." I'm like, "Yeah, you just fill out a form, honey. I didn't have to carry it around."
Yep.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're delivering like bags upon bags of stuff to our room.
That is so genius of them, though. Because people are just like, oh, we're not going to buy anymore because look at all the stuff we're carrying already. And then they're like, now we'll just deliver it to your room and you can keep on buying all day long.
Disney Prime.
Well, did any of you guys sign up for the Disney Plus yet? Or did you guys do it during
I don't think
little...
I think it's November when you can sign up, isn't it?
Well, wasn't there... I think there was...
That's if you were a D23 member, you could sign up early for 3 years for like $3 a month or something like that. But you had to be a D23 member.
That's why I never heard about it.
What's D23?
I did not. I'm not a D23 member. That's the Disney collectible kind of history club. It's really cool, but it's not worth the money for us. Like, they have special events and stuff at the Disney studios and all kinds of different things. But if you don't live down there, it doesn't make sense. At least not for me.
Right. Yeah.
I think we're going to be watching Disney documentaries soon, though, because they're buying it. Hulu's part of them.
Yeah.
ESPN's part of them.
Yeah. Dude, they own everything, man.
Amazon and Disney.
Yeah. Well, you're going to end up with two powerhouses because you're going to have the HBO Max, which is everything that is not owned by Disney. So there's literally only going to be two like streaming service companies out there, other than like a Tubi where they're doing it for free. But yeah, because like HBO Max, that's Time Warner, so they own all of Warner Brothers. They own CNN. They own ESPN. They own HBO.
ESPN's Disney, though.
Oh, I'm sorry, not ESPN. CNN, and
Fox?
ABC. No, Fox is Disney bought Fox.
That's right. ABC is Disney.
Yeah.
ABC. Anything on ABC. What else is owned by that same Warner company? They've got a huge list. They're just like Disney. They've got everything. It's either one or the other. It seems like it's going to be. So, I don't know how Netflix is going to do it. I don't know how they're going to survive once Disney Plus is up and HBO Max is up. It's going to be hard for them, man.
Apple's making a Apple TV Plus now too, a streaming service. So that's going to be it for Netflix.
Yeah. Did they release that at the last Apple event? Did they talk about that at all? They did? Yeah,
they did. I didn't watch a thing. I just heard a blurb on the news about it. But yeah.
All right. Well, you guys want to get back to our actual podcast here?
Sure, why not?
All right. So we are in the breakdown right now, and we'll go ahead and start off with you, Sean.
All right. So my doc was Prosecuting Evil, The Extraordinary World of Ben Ferencz. This actually has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 100%, both tomato meter and audience score. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I thought this was a really good documentary. Really interesting. So it's the story of Ben Ferencz, who is the last surviving prosecutor from the Nuremberg trials. So he was 27 years old when he did the first trial, and he's 98 now, I think, or something like that. They said.
Man. It's because he's short.
He's a distant cousin of Lord Palpatine.
Yeah.
On the nice side of the family.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a Sith and he knows how to live forever, like Palpatine.
Yeah.
He's short.
I couldn't get over how small he is. That guy is tiny.
He is.
Yeah, he's up at that lectern talking.
Yeah, they had to put books at the lectern so he could talk.
Yeah. He was under 5 foot, right? He was like 4 something.
Is he a little person? Is he technically?
No.
He was kind of like, what was that sex therapist, Dr. Ruth?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. About the same size as Dr. Ruth.
Yeah. He was totally Captain America. You know, they wouldn't let him in. He was too small to do anything. They said if he was a paratrooper, he'd go up instead of down.
Dude, I thought the exact same thing. I was like,
so did I.
Totally,
all three of
Captain
us.
America.
Yeah. That's awesome. We all thought Captain America right there.
Yeah. Well, and he was. I mean, you know, he's a badass. Like, he took down all these total douches and, you know, went about it with a mindset of like, I am setting a trend here. I'm setting a format that the rest of the world will follow because this has never been done. I'm not going to F it up. Like, that was a gimme of a trial. Like, that was a gimme. He could have gone in there and half-assed it, but he didn't. He went in there and legitimately just buried them in their own evidence.
Well, his strategy.
It's crazy because it is a gimme trial, but by the same token, that one the total jerk, the SS guy, Otto.
Yeah.
That he's like this, we were defending our country, and these people were invading our country, and we had to defend our country. And if it had been a different prosecutor, it's possible it could have gone the other way,
Mm-hmm.
How much do you hate being the guy they don't talk about that has to say it was okay that they did this?
Oh, I know. Yeah, they were talking about all those the defenders. It was the only steady pay in Germany for a lawyer was to be the defender for these these scum of the earth.
Yeah, his brain has got to just be a minefield of. When he's talking about the things he'd seen and just broke himself to tears, and I was in tears. I mean, that's just got to be horrendous seeing those people in those conditions, and he's got those videos just playing on a reel-to-reel in his head forever.
Yeah, he starts out in the war shooting down planes.
Yeah,
many of which were friendly.
Yeah,
right?
That was crazy.
If we can find a finger.
Yeah, then he's got to find body parts for these people that he shot down.
Because he said the majority of the planes that they shot down were friendly fire or U.S. planes.
Right.
Yeah.
That sucks, dude.
Yeah. And then he's got to go do this.
Yeah.
And this guy had quite the life.
He's very ballsy too. When he had that little story about how they were outside of, I think it was Auschwitz, and he collected the bones out of the field and kept them in his pocket. And later on, there's a confrontation between him and who was it?
It was like the prime minister of Germany. It was like the head of Germany.
Yes, and they were questioning why they were doing it and stuff like that. And he threw those bones down onto the table and said basically, don't ask me, ask the souls of these bones, kind of thing. And that was pretty intense. And he was a strategic guy as well too, because when he set up that case against him, he had very specific people that he wanted to go after. It's like, okay, they need to be alive, they need to be incarcerated, we need to know where they're at, and we need to know exactly what they did. And then he went and found all the evidence against these guys himself and everything. I mean, he was definitely the man.
Yeah, and he didn't try and bring a case until he had 1 million lives. And they had to be an officer. They had to be educated.
Yep.
He wanted all the kingpins. He wanted the guys that should have known better.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It reminded me of, you remember in Iraq there was the 52 cards, the most wanted.
Yeah, I saw those.
Yeah, well, actually, our unit made those cards. We were the ones that were responsible for making those things. We printed those things off for weeks on end to hand those out at the throughout Iraq and stuff, and we were part of creating those cards and the pictures and everything. But all those were the scientists, the top-notch generals, the politicians as well too. But they really pushed for the scientists. That's who they really wanted. The ones that were responsible for creating the weapons of mass destruction and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, just some of the experiments. I mean, that's pure evil. I mean, with that much brain power, it's in no way, shape, or form is it okay. However, this person got into your lab. You should know. You should, and I'm sorry, but you got to say, I guess I need to die because I'm not willing to work for you. That's just,
Yeah.
The only thing I did not like about this documentary is I cannot stand watching old, wrinkly men cry. I don't know why. That bothers me. I'm not joking. It's weird. Skip ahead a couple of seconds.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's starting to cry. I'm passing this part.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
So I really liked that he pointed out how it doesn't take a lot. We all have the capacity for this evil. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he pointed out that, the German people aren't bad people, but they just, it made me think, what would it take for us to turn to kind of that? And especially when we were watching the children of 9/11 and the reaction to the bin Laden getting killed. And I was like, it doesn't take a lot to tip people to go into that side,
Yeah.
If
Well,
you don't stop and
yeah.
think about your actions,
Well, and the German people had been so just kicked in the teeth and then kicked in the teeth and then held down and told they couldn't even defend themselves, can't have a military. I mean, they were primed for it. Yes, they kept bucking it, but they were primed for Hitler's speech and like, basically pumping them up to that, become this and feel like it was okay. I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, I think kind of jumping ahead, but I mean, that's one reason I think this is required because I'm a huge history buff, and I think that's the biggest mistake we have is we're doomed to repeat history if we don't learn from it. And this is a prime example. We need to know that a human being and other humans followed him, did this, and thought it was okay.
what's your guys' thought on a international court?
I don't think it has any teeth, honestly. I kind of laugh at it in the sense. I mean, who's in the end? Who's the executioner? Who works for who? Where's the prison?
Yeah.
Like, I really don't understand. Like, there's no constitution. Like, I don't know. Being an American, we have a set of laws that you break, and you know where they came from, and you know how they became laws, and you know the punishments, and it seems too ambiguous and vague to try and have a international United Nations of law.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm glad we're not really involved in it. I think there's too many questions of who gets to decide, and we have a constitution based on the power of the people. This is an international court based on the power of what?
Yeah, and if somebody throws a party like the Russians had decided, we're done because we don't like all you non-Russian folk, it would have crumbled or something. Like, that was the problem. That's what happens at the United Nations. If one of the ultimate veto countries that can veto stuff does it, we're done.
Yeah.
There's no way to override it. It's not like our government that can go override a veto if we really want to. So it's a great concept, but I don't think I would laugh at it if, I become a war criminal, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, come and get me. And then what are you going to do with me? I'll sit there and laugh at your trial. And then, unless you execute me on the spot, then I'll take it seriously.
Right. I think it's good good theory, but not concept. Or it's just not plausible. It's kind of like, I mean, we kind of sort of seen this with the euro. All of Europe or Western Europe has come together with the euro, and now you had Great Britain pulled out of the euro.
Yeah. European Union.
Yeah, exactly. It's like these kind of things have been tried on a small scale, and have any of them really been successful? Like, genuinely successful?
No.
Everybody's stayed in.
And the problem is always, it's who elects these people that are in charge of me. And,
Right.
The best government is always the one that's closest to you. That's the one you can actually have an influence on. So this is an overreaching government way over the top of everyone that has, no control. So, I don't think it's a great idea. And there's actually a quote from The West Wing where they're talking about the international war crimes, and one of the generals says, all wars are crimes. So what's the point of having a war crime? All wars are crimes. They're terrible.
Yeah. And if Hitler had won, who'd be on trial?
Right.
I mean, it's the epitome of, the winner makes the rules and then writes the history.
Yeah. Now, no question these people were evil, but...
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready to go on to Adam and Satan?
Yes.
Sounds good. Well, it's Satan and Adam.
Yeah.
I typed that wrong. I'm so bad.
Satan will get pissed.
Yes, he will. That was definitely pointed out in the documentary.
So, to go back, Satan and Adam chronicles the unlikely pairing of legendary one-man band Sterling, Mr. Satan McGee, and harmonica master Adam Gusso. Shot over 20 years, the film showcases one of the greatest blues duos you probably never got a chance to see. McGee and Gusso came together on the streets of Harlem in the 1980s, a time when race relations in New York were at an all-time low. From completely different worlds, these two musicians forged a lifelong relationship that showcases the unifying power of music. So I got this recommendation from my father-in-law. I think I mentioned originally when we brought this up. He's a huge fan of U2, and then blues is his main calling in music. And I really like this. I like diversity stories. I like people of very diverse places and cultures and colors coming together. And I thought this was an awesome example of that, like the power of music, to conquer these two races in a city that was not in a place that wanted that right then. And I guess they were riot-ridden New York at the time. And and then even, to jump all the way towards the end, I mean, Satan's about 20 years older, and he is having some serious health issues, just age kicking his butt. And he comes right out of it at times when that guitar gets in his hand, and then especially when Adam is with him, it's like he's 20 years younger again, and they're just jamming. So it's
after having a stroke, right?
Yeah, he has a stroke. Yeah, so it's very uplifting, I think, in that sense. Music, culture, all that stuff coming together, and it's some pretty cool music if you like blues.
Oh yeah, I loved it. What'd you guys think of black and white footage? Did that bother you guys, or did you enjoy it?
I liked it. I think it pulls you back. It definitely makes it obvious that it's shot on location or in the past.
Mm-hmm.
This was one I was kind of wishing we could interview the director on, because I was curious where they got all the footage, and was it found footage? Was it a found footage kind of situation, or was it someone had put this all together with the intent of making a doc and just had 20 years worth of footage? Or
I think that's what it was. That's what it felt like to me, was that it was somebody who'd been filming this and was hoping to make a documentary out of it later on.
Because I mean, they were legit, artists. They had three albums, and it was pretty impressive. I mean, they actually, went places in life in a sense. It wasn't just this one little street show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd recommend it. If you're a fan of blues, I'd put it in the required box. If you're looking for some blues history, it talks about Bo Diddley. I thought that was interesting that it mentions Bo Diddley started on the street corner, kind of like Satan did.
Yeah, that was cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, and Satan's history is crazy too. With he played with Etta James and with just all the big names, and then
he's on Ray Charles' label.
Yeah, and then he just quit and started playing on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, I didn't love this documentary. I liked the music for sure. It dragged a little bit for me. It could have been a little bit shorter for me.
You liked the harmonica though, right?
Oh yeah, the music was great, and Satan with the guitar. I think he does have a little bit of Satan in him to have that kind of talent.
Yeah, it's like he gets possessed at times.
It is amazing what he could do with a guitar.
Yeah. And he can't even move and play, and he's twitching. He almost looks Parkinson's-esque. And then he just all of a sudden he's in the guitar, and he's almost like somebody else is playing with him. Like, that definitely was. I guess there was parts where they could have cut out kind of the dead part, where all of a sudden he just disappears into Florida, and
right.
Adam writes a book and kind of just bides his time, and then all of a sudden they pick it back up after his stroke.
No. There's definitely a lot of points where you think it's the ending.
Yeah.
And then there's another chapter to it, and then another chapter, and then 2 more years, and then 2 more years. And you're like, man, how long is Satan going to live? Because they're like going up to 2006, and then add another 2 years. And I was like, man, this guy was like literally on his deathbed, and we're 6 years after that now?
Yeah.
Following him around.
He just had his
back
80th birthday from whatever. Yeah.
It was really cool to see all that old footage, and just to see where he's come from and where they ended up towards the end.
Yeah, I don't know much about the race relations back in the 60s. I did, I know that it was different, but Al Sharpton's not my favorite non-peaceful reverend, as I put it.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was interesting to talk about, that it took guts for, a straight-laced white boy to walk up to him and try and get in on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Satan to accept him and give him a chance once he realized he had some chops. I thought that was interesting to see.
Yeah, a white kid from Princeton in Harlem, like that's
right.
Crazy.
Is that Lily White? Does that constitute Lily White?
Yeah.
And it's all because his girlfriend walked out on him with another guy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it probably would never have happened. Did you guys catch the greatest moment in this one?
No, there was a greatest moment.
No.
Yeah. So when they're in the recording studio for the first time, I can't remember which one of them says it. I think Adam says it's the greatest day of their lives while they're in the recording studio. So
I missed that.
Yeah.
I barely caught it.
Awesome.
Yeah, you guys ready to go on to our last one?
Yep.
Yes.
So my pick was on Netflix, The Gringo, The Dangerous Life of John McAfee. Or is it McAfee? Or is it, what is it that you call it?
I say McAfee.
You still say it even after watching this documentary.
So after watching it, and I made a point there, I totally realize, what is it, not even 30 seconds into it when he's getting popped for his DUI.
Yes.
He introduces himself like 3 times as this cop that's like, I don't care, basically.
Right.
I'm John McAfee.
Yes.
Is how he said. So he puts an A in there, but he's not McAfee.
I think he doesn't. I think he doesn't know how to pronounce his own name. I'm going to be honest. Because it should. I agree. He says it's McAfee.
Yes.
But it's McAfee. He doesn't know how to say his own name. I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Man. I agree, because even people at the first institution that his first company, they say it as McAfee. Like the name of their company is McAfee. But,
well, they are a bunch of weird sex addicts too, though.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, when you're ready to go down that.
So they had a
documentary is crazy.
Right. So they had a game where you got certain points for the amount of different places or positions that you had sex.
Different places in the office.
In the office.
It was somebody's job to Windex the desk every morning to clean up the residue.
The sex residue.
That's terrible.
Oh my goodness.
That'd probably be the low-scoring person had to do that.
Right. So that's just a little bit of a taste of what this documentary is about. It's got a maturity rating of TVMA, not surprising. Directed by Bernstein. I don't know how to pronounce that first name. IMDb score of 6.7. Rotten Tomatoes audience score of 76%. The synopsis: tech tycoon John McAfee made millions from his antivirus software. Now he may be best known for his bizarre and scandalous lifestyle. And so, what'd you guys think of the director? She seemed like she had quite the grudge and hatred at the beginning of the documentary. I was like, man, she's freaking pissed.
Well, the way the texting went back and forth, yeah, she seems pretty pissed off about his tone and the way he's coming back at her.
Well, the tone of her voice, too, though. When she's, like, introducing who he is and what the documentary is kind of about. There's, like, this, like, hatred in her voice. Did you guys notice that, or was that just me?
No, yeah, she's a gotcha journalist, I think. She's one of those that's always out to just try and dig up dirt, and
Right.
Yeah.
Scott, HB, you mentioned the use of the email. What'd you guys think of the graphics of that? So there's this graphic that keeps on coming up of the email correspondence between her and John, and we don't know where he's at that point.
Yeah, I liked that they had it because you could read it at times, but then there's also times where it just comes up and you don't know that it's there. So if you're kind of casually watching or cooking dinner or something, it just gets quiet and you got to glance at the screen or the tablet or whatever you're watching on. And if you miss it, then you got to rewind it. So I liked it, and then I thought it was kind of an irritating grab technique to make sure we were still like watching and not just listening.
I didn't think of it that way. I like that.
It's not a commercial. Those commercials go silent just to get you to look at the TV.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I get it. You're whatever. You're smarter than me. Yeah.
I mean, you get that sense of that John's just crazy from the very beginning, though, through these emails, because he's like one of the first emails, he says, "You're never going to get an interview out of me," but then he continues to bombard her with emails and answering her questions and stuff, and it's just like, you just said that you're not going to get an interview, but you're literally like answering everything that she's asking as well too.
Yeah, he was nut bar from go, like from his company, like the sex parties and the weird people. And he just was, he was like, it goes to show you some of these crazy people probably Elon Musk. We'll find out someday, and what's his name, inventor of Apple, and they're all just right on the razor's edge of losing it. Like, just people are going to find out that they like to poop and eat people's poop.
Yeah.
So it just shows that that's the price of brilliance. Is just about ready to lose everything else.
Yeah, and McAfee didn't try and stay on this side of the line. He found the line and ran across it as fast as he could and as hard as he could. That guy was nuts.
Yeah.
Or is nuts.
And then he made his own police department on the other side.
Yeah.
Well, he bought the existing police department. Well, no, yeah, you're right. Well, he created his own little militia.
First, he bought the police department with tasers and
body
a
armor,
$1 million boat.
And, millions and millions of dollars in equipment for a police department, just so that they would look the other way.
Yeah.
And then he bought his own militia.
Right. Yeah.
Well, now if you want to kill him, if anybody wants to kill him, he just basically sits down and buys them out too. That one guy was out to kill him because he tortured and killed his friend.
Right.
And then he ends up being, his number one killer that probably killed the neighbor.
Right.
Yeah.
That was weird too.
What
was that guy's name? Eddie McCoy. Mac 10.
Mac 10.
Mac 10. So Mac 10 has his best buddy killed, tortured, and then killed by McAfee's mafia or goons. Because he allegedly had broken into McAfee's into his house.
Yeah, stolen some of his stuff.
Stolen his stuff. So Mac 10's buddy ends up getting killed, and it was on the news and everything. Mm-hmm. And and then McAfee literally invites him over and pays him off to join him and his cartel of people there in Belize.
Yeah. Well, and how about, when he's quasi-legit still before I think completely goes off the rails, he has the scientist gal working for him. And then, for all intents and purposes, rapes her, it sounds like. Or at least she thinks maybe that she got raped, sounds like.
Well, she showed every indication that she had been.
Yeah, she just didn't actually say the word.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
but he is.
That thing was all weird anyways. I mean, what was he really trying to put up? What type of front was he trying to put up with that pharmacy thing? So he ends up just randomly running into Allison there in Belize because she's there on a trip. And she's this top-notch... Did your wife watch this one with you, HB?
No, I want to ask her about the spray on antibiotics, though.
Yeah. Because I was interested in knowing what she would have said about all that. If it was completely bogus or Allison was phony as well, too.
Well, I do know it takes, in her studies and things she's told me about, it takes years, close to a decade, to get a drug from creation to something that you and I would get prescribed. Mm. So the fact that it's created in a quote-unquote laboratory in a shack in Belize.
Right. Out of plants.
Yeah,
out of the local plants that are just literally being cut out of the ground right there in Belize.
Yeah, I don't find that plausible at all. And there was no sterile technique being used that I saw. They were wearing coats and using microscopes. I don't think they could reproduce the same thing every time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's looking through the microscope. I think this one's rat poison. What?
He's got no shirt on and frosted tips.
Dude, this guy was whack. When he tried to go on the run and he was trying to disguise himself and he's all acting like a crippled and covering his hair with dust that he found behind a cabinet or something. What was that?
Yeah, looked like baby powder or something. Yeah,
right. And the reporter, I think it was from CNN, he was talking about, you could obviously tell it was him walking up the stairs, but you didn't want to say anything to piss him off, so you just looked the other way. And then when he came in through the room, I fooled you guys. He's like, oh yeah, John, you really fooled us.
It's like when you're dealing with a 3-year-old, and
yeah.
Haha, I was hiding. Yeah, I didn't see you. Good job.
Got daddy.
Yeah, this was, One thing that came, I know McAfee doesn't do a whole lot of killing. It seems like he might be the guy that shot the other guy, but they think it's Mac 10.
Yeah.
But he
I'd
definitely
put my money on Mac 10.
Yeah. I could see John McAfee, though, if you somehow were friends, quote unquote, or he thought you were friends, as his neighbor, like you would just wake up one day and he would be like eating a bowl of cereal over your bed with like, a machete, tucked into his boxer shorts. And he would do creepy, weird stuff. Like he would be the most unnerving neighbor to have on this planet.
Right.
Yeah.
He'd be, hey buddy, what's going on? You want to go fishing?
Yeah. Hey, what's up? It's a great day today. Want to go get the tips frosted and hit the boat?
And then go find some young girls at the bar and have some weird sex things go on?
Yeah, I got the fresh swing installed.
Right. But I'm not going to tell you exactly what I do with that swing until the very end. Man, that was disturbing, man.
Oh, man, that's
a weird fetish.
How does that count as sex? Like, it's just gross.
Right.
Because they even said, then he wouldn't, we didn't have sex with him. We just pooped on him.
Yeah, in his mouth.
Yeah, how's he not dead?
Eat it.
How's that not, like, killing him with bacteria?
I don't know.
Because he made that special spray-on antibiotic.
That's true. Yeah. He was eating all the natural plants.
Or the girls were, and then pooping it into his mouth.
Yeah, that's how he processed the antibiotics.
Right. It was part of the trial base.
I gotta ask, what made you pick this documentary?
Dude, I just saw it and I was like, that looks fun.
My wife's about to revoke your choosing privileges.
Did she watch it with you?
Yeah, she did.
Oh, no. I'm so glad
Sarah,
Jen did not.
Sarah, of course, walked in on the poop swing session. Like, she has
Of course.
She has the best timing. I'm watching, like, the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood, like, documentary, and she walks in on the one scene that's questionable or something. And, yeah, and then I would sit in his swing and poop in his mouth. What are you watching? That's a instructional video on scat sex, eh?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, God.
Wives are awesome at that. Jen does the same exact thing. Just always walks in the most awkward moment of any type of show or documentary, and it's like, no, it's not what you think. Sure it isn't.
Yeah. I will say McAfee definitely has that personality that just,
I'm sorry,
entrances people. McAfee. Mecca. Like all the girls think that he is like their number one, or they're his number one. He entrances enough people to run for president and make them think that he has any concept of reality, let alone how to run a country.
And this is after all these accusations.
Yeah, you're a murderer, maybe.
Yeah, twice, and a rapist, an accused rapist.
Yeah.
And we're going to run for president, and he was born in Britain. How can he even run for presidency?
He was born in Britain? I missed that part.
Yeah.
Maybe was he a naturalized, or was he a military kid or something? I totally missed that.
Yeah, no, they didn't say anything about military. He's British born. It's like, why the hell is he running for presidency then? He's not even natural. Yeah, so I don't know. But what else on this one? There's a lot that you could talk on this one for a while.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I wonder. I would like to know that DUI. Like, I'd like to see the full DUI body cam, whatever video. Just that intro.
Right.
Just dealing with. Like, he's just the most friendly, drunk blabbermouth ever.
Yes.
You're gonna want to call the FBI. They're gonna be looking for me.
Do you know who I am?
Do you have any guns in the car? Yeah, I like guns. How many do you have? 3. Oh, okay. Any dead bodies? Yeah, just a couple fingers. But I ate the rest.
I imported those from Brazil.
Yeah, I have $4,000. Yeah, I'm kind of light today. I normally carry more. Yeah, that trooper just had to have been like, oh my God, just keep it rolling. This guy is hilarious.
Then he had his moment of being a yoga guru.
Yeah.
Right.
Out in Denver or something. Well, it was Denver, right? Colorado?
Yeah, Colorado somewhere.
Yeah. He bought 200 acres, wrote like 5 books in like no time at all.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He told, so another documentary that ties into the podcast. What is it? 30 for 30, ESPN last year.
Yep.
The do you know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah.
Bikram yoga. Yeah, him and McAfee could be roomies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that he tells that one girl, "Oh yeah, I made all that up." Yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just smart enough to realize I'm crazy, so I can pretend to be crazy when I want to be.
And then he liquidates all his assets and hides everything offshore, supposedly. And then he tells everybody he's bankrupt so that none of his creditors can get any of their money back. Like, how's that guy not in prison? Like, he's got so many
I
things.
don't know, man. I don't know if FBI is like trying to build the biggest case ever against one person, because they've got to just be sitting on all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Or maybe he just bought off the FBI, like he did the police in Belize.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, his Wikipedia page says that he was born on a U.S. Army base to an American father and an English mother. So he's got dual citizenship.
All right.
He feels as much British as he is American.
There you go. HB coming through with the facts.
And when he was 15, his father was an alcoholic, committed suicide, and the spiral of crazy began.
Yeah. Yeah. The only other note I have is Tino. He was that crazy-looking bodyguard of his. That dude was scary looking, man.
Oh
Yeah.
I wouldn't have messed with that guy. He wasn't big, but he was scary looking.
Yeah, the sunglasses helped him. I mean,
like the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator.
Yeah, I don't know, the scrawny guys. They're creepy and stuff, but I'm like, unless you had a gun, you're a twig. It's something about a big beefcake guy that I'm like way more intimidated by than the twig tweaker. But I did think it was interesting how all those interviews with all those people, guys that are straight up kind of like his fixers in Belize, and they're all pretty willing to talk, except for that one interview.
Yeah.
But they're willing to talk about how they did this for him, they did that for him, and then they're like, look, we didn't sign up for this, like we're not gonna do that much, like we're all just having a party.
Yeah. You brought up that guy that wouldn't show his identity, the one that was in the shadows and stuff. Mm-hmm. I thought it was hilarious. At the beginning of his interview, he was using the F-bomb like no other, and then he wouldn't say penis or dick or anything. He said my private parts. It's like, what? You're gonna say private parts now after using the F-bomb like how many times?
That's when his inner mother's voice talked in his ear.
That was weird.
So yeah, here's a sucky side note. When he ran for president as a libertarian in 2016, one of his endorsements was from John Moore, Nevada State Senator. Oh, it all comes back.
What is wrong with the Libertarian Party? Like, these people that they pick. I mean, Gary Johnson wasn't terrible, but what is wrong with the Libertarian Party?
I don't know. Well, was Gary Moore the one that started the legalization of marijuana here?
John Moore, sorry.
Oh, John Moore. Was he that one?
He was a Republican. He switched to Libertarian in 2006.
Uh-huh.
So it doesn't say.
I think he's the one that got the cannabis legalized here. Or he was the one that got that bill started or whatever.
He lost he only was in office until that was the end of it in 2016. He got in after September 11th. He was in Iraq. He served in Iraq, so I think he ran on a military ticket after September 11th.
Yeah.
But good old comes back to Nevada. Maybe Mr. McAfee will come and grace us with his presence if he runs again in 2020.
I hope you're on that detail.
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious. Oh, what a whack job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe Steph sat through that whole thing, Sean.
Yeah, well,
Is she there now with you?
Yeah. She enjoyed it. Not really. She hated it. I think at the pooping part, she said, "What is wrong with Sturdy? What is wrong with him?"
Hey, I did not know that was going to come up. All right,
Or go down.
right, or go down. Literally, in many ways.
And then my demented mind, I'm like, well, what if they had a bad night? Too much Chinese food. It's just Splattersville.
Oh gosh.
Just take this off the rails here. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, I know. Does he ask how's your GI feeling tonight?
Yeah.
What if they can't perform? Does he have ways of getting around that?
Yeah, there's a strict diet, very strict diet in his house.
Mm-hmm. John called me. I have to hold out for going to the bathroom today. He wants me over tonight.
He says he loves me the most.
That's terrible.
It was funny watching or seeing those pictures when it would be him and three of the girls or whatever, and there would always be one girl that was outside of, or off to the side, looking pissed off.
Pissed off
Right.
sister wife, yeah.
Yeah. You guys noticed that too? That was fun.
Oh yeah. It's like a bad rap video or a bad rap CD cover,
Yeah.
Something like, Two Live Crew or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's married and here in the States now with one of those girls. I don't know which one.
Really?
Yeah. I checked Twitter and there were some interesting things, but yeah, she's always on his defense. People will get onto his Twitter account and start how could you ever support an accused rapist and killer and all this other stuff, and then she'll get on there and spout off her 2 cents of that never happened or Allison was lying, and he's got some other he's actually posted his side of the story of what happened between him and Allison. He calls Allison this total party freak and that she was into threesomes and having sex with teenagers and all this other stuff, but he has absolutely he says he has pictures to prove it, but he's never posted them.
Mm-hmm.
He said oh, I'm gonna post them next week, and nothing ever gets posted of her having these threesomes with 17-year-old boys and everything. Yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah, to go along with your wife thing, I that just intrigued me. His Wikipedia page says the night after he was deported, he was solicited by a woman named Janice Dyson, and then a prostitute in South Beach, Florida, and they spent the night together and are now married after 30 years.
Oh, that's her. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're now married. Not 30 years. Sorry, she's 30 years his junior.
Yeah.
And they've been married since 2013, so 6 years, and so she's got to be in her 20s.
Yeah, around that. Late 20s.
He claims to have 47 biological children.
Yeah, he thinks he's like Benjamin Franklin or something.
I guess.
Wow. Crazy, dude.
Yeah, and he's still richer than us.
Oh yeah.
What the heck's wrong with this world?
Yeah.
Exactly. I loved how he got caught though by somebody using an iPhone from Vice Media.
Right.
Yeah, the EXIF data.
Yeah. So for you listeners out there, if you didn't know, if you take a picture of your iPhone or with your iPhone and then send that to somebody else via email, there will be GPS coordinates on that picture that you just sent, so that the media will be, so if you sent it to like media or something, or somebody who knows what they're doing, they can find out exactly where you're at when you take that picture. And that's exactly how John McAfee got caught.
Yeah, it's actually nowadays all the Androids, they all do it. It's called EXIF data.
Yeah. Well,
and it's very helpful.
Well, if you post to Facebook or actually any social media, it will strip that data out of the photo. And
you can do it on your phone. You can set the setting initially to not collect it, but most people don't.
Yeah, most people have no idea that it even happens.
So if you just straight send it to your friends or like text bomb a bunch of friends, they could all potentially get it.
Yeah, so does it strip it if it's through a text, or does it still keep it?
Well, Apple is different because they have the iMessage stuff, so they do send more information than Androids do, unless you link your two phones together, especially. So maybe Apple does it all the time. But yeah, there's ways to get it on via text, in my experience.
All right, you guys got anything else on this one, or you guys want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
All right, thanks everyone for listening. Make sure to check us out on YouTube as well too, as long with Facebook and Twitter. Make sure to subscribe to those, and if you're on Apple Podcast, make sure to subscribe as well too. It helps us out there. Talks on Docs is a community podcast, meaning we want to get to know you and to talk to you, the listeners. But to make that happen, we need you to first contact us. Please feel free to email us at talksondocs@gmail.com. Or if you prefer, contact us on Facebook at Talks on Docs or on Twitter at Talks on Docs.
Beautiful day in this neighborhood, beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Would you be